There's a kind of success that doesn't chase the spotlight. It doesn't sprint. It doesn't bloom overnight. But it endures, quietly, deeply, invisibly, like roots beneath the soil, unseen, but holding everything up. Hi, I'm Nathan. Welcome back to The Long Game. And before we start, I just want to say thank you. To every listener, every member of this community, every person who's taken the time to comment, share, or just send a kind word. I do read all your messages, truly. Even if I can't reply every time, between work, late nights, and chasing after my little one, please know that I see you and I appreciate you more than you think. Today's episode is about something I've been thinking about for years. Why some forms of success never die, even when the person fades away. Why some ideas, habits, and principles seem to keep growing long after the noise has moved on. It's because their roots run deep, deeper than applause, deeper than market trends, deeper than any single season of life. When you look at the tallest, strongest trees, what you actually see above ground is only half the truth. The real story, the power, the stability, the endurance, is underground, invisible, patient, growing in silence. Success is the same. What people call overnight success is usually a decade of invisible work, 1,000 quiet mornings, years of sewing into something no one clapped for. The part the world doesn't see, the hours of learning, the self-discipline, the resilience after rejection, that's the root system. That's what keeps it alive when others fall. We live in a world obsessed with the visible. Numbers, rankings, followers. Everyone wants to see the fruit, the cars, the house, the recognition, but few ask how deep the roots go. And yet that's what determines how long it lasts. You don't build a strong tree by decorating the leaves. You build it by tending the roots, consistently, quietly, sometimes painfully. The problem is, roots don't get likes. They don't look impressive on Instagram. They grow in the dark, in the seasons when nothing seems to happen, when no one notices, when progress feels painfully slow. But that's exactly when you're growing the parts that time can't kill. You see, speed is for the impatient. Depth is for the wise. And wisdom is what keeps you standing when the storms come. So here's the paradox. If you want to grow fast, go shallow. If you want to last long, go deep. Because anything that grows too quickly, without roots, collapses just as fast. Maybe that's why the most grounded people I know are also the calmest. They're not rushing to prove. They're not panicking when others doubt them, because they know what they're building is beneath the surface. It doesn't need validation to be real. You might be in that phase now, the quiet grind, the invisible season. It can feel frustrating when no one notices, when the world seems to reward noise more than depth. But trust me, this is where your roots are forming. And one day, those roots will hold up something magnificent. This is what I call the long roots of success. They're not sexy, they don't trend, but they outlast everything else. And in the next part, we'll explore what these roots really are, the kind of habits, beliefs, and disciplines that keep success alive when time tries to kill it. Stay with me, because this is where real growth begins. When you think about roots, the first thing that comes to mind might be stillness, a tree that never moves. But in reality, roots are alive. They search, they adapt, they reach into the earth to find what sustains life. And that's what we need to understand about lasting success. It's not about standing still. It's about reaching deeper. Roots don't just hold the tree up. They feed it. They find nutrients in unlikely places. They spread wide to balance growth. They adapt to drought. And when the soil changes, they change too. In other words, the most grounded things are also the most responsive. Success that survives time is the same. It's alive, adaptive, and deeply connected to purpose. It doesn't depend on one condition, one market, or one lucky break. It thrives because its foundation is diverse, balanced, and self-renewing. Let's make this more human. If your career, your happiness, or your identity grows only from one source, you're fragile. If all your self-worth depends on your job, one layoff can crush you. If all your confidence depends on people's praise, one insult can destroy you. If all your joy depends on external rewards, time will eventually take them away. But if your roots go deeper into discipline, learning, compassion, curiosity, and faith in something bigger than yourself, then you can lose the leaves, but not the life. Every person who truly lasts has a web of roots under them. They don't just grow one kind of strength, they grow many. A good investor doesn't just understand money. They understand psychology, patience, and cycles. A great athlete doesn't just train their body. They train their mind, their routines, their emotional control. A wise person doesn't just seek results. They build character that outlives results. And that's the real work most people skip. Because it's slow, it's uncomfortable. It demands humility. The kind that says, I don't know yet, but I'll learn. When you look at someone who's been consistent for 20 years, not just rich or famous, but fulfilled, you can be sure they've built below ground. You can be sure they've cultivated invisible systems that time, failure, and doubt couldn't destroy. So what are those systems? Let's look at a few. The first is values. Values are like the soil your roots grow in. If it's shallow, your success won't hold. If it's toxic, built on lies, greed, or ego, everything growing in it will eventually rot. But if your soil is rich, with honesty, responsibility, and genuine curiosity, it will feed you for a lifetime. The second is discipline. Not punishment, but the steady commitment to show up even when no one is clapping. Discipline is the water your roots depend on. It's the routine that keeps your growth alive when motivation fades. It's the choice to write one more line, study one more concept, practice one more time even when you feel unseen. And the third is reflection. Roots grow toward what nourishes them, but you only know what that is when you pay attention. People who last make time to reflect. They ask, what's working? What's not? What am I becoming? They don't just chase new opportunities, they deepen their understanding. That's how wisdom grows, not from motion, but from meaning. And the fourth is connection. Roots don't grow in isolation. They intertwine with others underground. They share water, exchange nutrients, and even warn each other of danger. It's one of nature's quiet miracles. Trees literally help each other survive. Humans are no different. The success that lasts is never purely individual. It's built on networks of trust, on shared values, on people who help each other stand when storms come. Maybe you've noticed this. The most peaceful high performers are never competing with everyone around them. They're collaborating, learning, teaching, mentoring, because they understand that helping others grow strengthens their own roots too. So when you think about building something that time can't kill, think beyond results. Think about systems that feed you when results disappear. Because there will be seasons when nothing grows, when every effort feels wasted, when progress looks invisible. But invisible doesn't mean dead. It means the roots are still working, preparing for the next bloom. It's during those quiet stretches, when no one's watching, when the soil feels cold, that you decide what kind of success you're really growing. The shallow kind that needs constant sunshine, or the deep kind that can survive the dark. And I think that's the question we all have to face at some point. Are we building branches that impress, or roots that endure? Because one will get you applause today. The other will carry you for decades. In the next part, we'll talk about how to grow those long roots deliberately, how to practice depth in a world addicted to speed, and how to measure progress when the world only celebrates visibility. Stay tuned. We're just getting to the heart of it.
Here's the hard truth. Growing deep roots means you'll often feel behind. While everyone else seems to be sprinting ahead, chasing the next trend, the next opportunity, the next viral win, you're somewhere in the background, repeating fundamentals, refining the basics, building structures no one can see. And that can feel discouraging, because the world loves speed. It celebrates visibility, novelty, momentum. But depth is slow. It doesn't post daily updates. It doesn't shout. It grows silently, under pressure, in the dark. And yet every master, every true craftsman, every legend has gone through that hidden phase. The musician playing alone for 10 years before anyone listens. The investor reading balance sheets for decades before making their lucky move. The writer whose early work no one noticed, but who kept refining until the world caught up. Roots aren't grown by applause. They're grown by repetition, by choosing consistency over recognition, by trusting that the work you do in private will one day speak for itself in public. Let's talk about how to actually grow those roots intentionally, patiently, in a way that doesn't burn you out. The first step is to choose the right soil. That means choosing the right environment for your growth. Not every place or person will feed your potential. Some environments drain you, reward noise, or push you to trade depth for validation. Others, though slower, will stretch you, refine you, and call out your best. It's okay to outgrow people and places that don't support your roots. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect. You cannot grow deep if you're constantly transplanting yourself. Find soil that challenges you and nourishes you at the same time. Then stay there long enough to take root. The second step, respect slow progress. We're trained to measure success in weeks and months, but true mastery, the kind that time can't kill, is measured in decades. The problem isn't that growth is slow. The problem is that impatience makes us quit before the roots form. Every time you restart because you're bored, every time you chase the next shiny thing, your roots reset. You lose the compound growth that comes only from staying in the game long enough. So if you're in a season where it feels like nothing's happening, stay. Keep showing up, because unseen progress is still progress. The third step, build routines that protect your energy. Deep work requires sustained focus, and sustained focus requires rhythm. You can't plant and harvest at the same time. You can't keep growing if you never rest. Every great builder, artist, and investor understands cycles. Work hard, rest intentionally, learn continuously. Rest isn't a reward, it's a root system for endurance. The fourth step, detach your identity from outcomes. If your roots depend on external validation, you'll forever live in fear of drought. Learn to take joy in process, not performance. When you love the work itself, when you find meaning in practice, curiosity, creation, your roots thicken. You're no longer hostage to seasons of success or failure. And the fifth, let humility guide your growth. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself accurately. It's knowing you're still learning, still refining, still unfinished. Pride builds towers, humility builds roots. Pride says, I've made it. Humility says, I'm still becoming. And that difference determines who lasts when storms arrive. Now here's something that often surprises people. Depth doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, better. You don't need to read every book, take every course, chase every idea. You need to focus long enough to extract wisdom from one thing deeply. The difference between dabblers and masters isn't talent, it's time. Dabblers touch everything once. Masters revisit the same thing until it reveals its secrets. Think about a tree again. It doesn't grow taller by stretching faster. It grows taller by deepening the foundation that can hold its future weight. If it tried to grow too tall too quickly, without roots to support it, it would collapse under its own ambition. The same happens to us. We often want outcomes our foundations can't yet carry. We want wealth before wisdom, fame before character, freedom before discipline. And when we get them too early, we self-destruct. So when it feels like life is slowing you down, maybe it's protecting you. Maybe it's helping your roots catch up to your branches, because a strong root system is what lets you enjoy growth without fear of losing it. Here's a simple mental model I use. Think of your life as a forest, not a single tree. You'll have fast-growing branches, short-term wins, but you'll also need slow, deep-rooted ones that last decades. Build both. Celebrate the quick wins, but invest in the foundations that won't fade. That's how long-term success compounds, not by momentum, but by endurance. And remember, what time can't kill, time will reward. Because eventually storms come for everyone. Trends fade, markets shift, audiences change. But roots hold. You might not see it day to day, but one morning, years from now, you'll look around and realize you've become unshakable. Not because you avoided failure, but because you learned to grow through it. That's the quiet power of compounding, invisible until it becomes inevitable. In the final part, we'll bring it all together. We'll talk about how to live from the roots, not just grow them, so that your success feels peaceful, not pressured. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to last, it's to last well. Stay with me. We're going all the way down. So here we are, the final part. We've talked about planting roots, nurturing them, protecting them through seasons of drought and growth. But the question now is, how do we live from those roots? How do we walk through the world anchored, calm, and enduring, while everything else keeps rushing by? Because once your roots are deep, success is no longer something you chase, it's something you express. It's who you are, not what you achieve. To live from your roots means this. You make decisions from principle, not pressure. You measure progress in depth, not speed. You define wealth by peace, not possessions. That's what I call rooted living. It's the opposite of reactive living, where every headline, every comparison, every piece of news pulls you in a new direction. Rooted living is grounded, steady, and intentional. It's a kind of quiet power, the ability to move slowly when everyone else is panicking fast. But to live this way, you need to learn to listen again, to silence. Because silence is where roots speak. That's where you hear your real motives, your real fears, your real compass. We spend so much time trying to amplify our signal outward that we forget the wisdom waiting inward. And yet, every strong decision, every great act of creativity, every moment of breakthrough begins not in noise, but in stillness. When you slow down long enough, something magical happens. You begin to see patterns others miss. You begin to act, not react. You begin to trade the illusion of control for the reality of influence, building what you can, letting go of what you can't. Rooted people don't chase every opportunity. They select carefully, nurture deeply, and commit fully. Because they understand that the best returns come from compounding focus, not scattered effort. And that principle doesn't just apply to investing or career, it applies to relationships, learning, and even your inner growth. The deeper your roots, the less you fear losing things, because you realize the fruit can fall, the branches can break, but life continues underground, and you can regrow, again and again. That's resilience. Not pretending to be unbreakable, but knowing you can grow back stronger each time. One of the wisest things I ever heard was this: a tree with deep roots laughs at storms. It doesn't mean it enjoys suffering. It means it understands storms don't destroy, they prune. They remove the weak branches so new ones can grow. And in that way, adversity becomes nourishment. Think about that for a moment. Every challenge you faced, every loss, every failure, every heartbreak didn't destroy you. It deepened you. It taught you patience, empathy, perspective. Those aren't scars, they're root lines. Proof that you've gone deeper than you were before. When you live this way, even your definition of success begins to shift. You stop asking, how far can I go, and start asking, how strong can I stay? You stop counting wins and start collecting lessons. You stop chasing growth and start cultivating grace. And slowly, you realize something profound. The goal was never to rise above others. It was to sink deep enough that you can't be shaken, and to use that stability to lift others too. Because the deepest roots always give back. They don't hoard nutrients. They share them through the underground network. And in life, giving is the ultimate test of strength. If you've built something that helps others grow even after you're gone, then your success has truly transcended time. Legacy isn't what you leave behind in wealth or fame. It's the soil you enrich for those who come after you. It's the influence that continues in how people think, live, and love long after your name fades. The roots of success, then, aren't just personal. They're generational.
They're spiritual. They reach into the future and hold up people you'll never meet. And that's what time can't kill. You see, we live in an age that loves to measure everything. Views, numbers, ROI, KPIs. But the most meaningful parts of life resist measurement. You can't quantify patience. You can't spreadsheet kindness. You can't measure the compounding of wisdom quietly shared over years. But these are the real currencies of endurance, the invisible wealth of a long, meaningful life. So maybe the invitation today is this: stop trying to grow faster. Start growing deeper. Stop trying to be everywhere. Start being present where you are. Stop chasing success that vanishes when trends change. Start building the kind that only strengthens with time. Because everything superficial eventually fades. The hype, the attention, the envy. But roots, they remain. They don't shout. They don't seek credit. But they hold up everything we value: love, purpose, integrity, peace. And when you live from those roots, success stops being a destination. It becomes a state of being. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to grow, slowly, deeply, faithfully, in the direction of what matters most. So, wherever you are right now, whether you're just starting, rebuilding, or quietly persisting through another invisible season, remember this: growth that no one sees is often the growth that lasts the longest. Keep tending your roots. Keep watering them with patience, humility, and courage. Because one day, when the storm hits, and it will, you'll stand firm. Not because of luck, but because you grew what time can't kill. I'm Nathan, and this is The Long Game. Thank you for listening, for your time, and for being part of this journey toward deeper, more meaningful success. And as always, take care of your roots, my friend, because everything good in life grows from there.